It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. We are live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State. Also live on YouTube and on Facebook. It is a crucial conversations that Erie needs here, and one of my favorite conversations that we have on a regular basis, try to do this every quarter here, is to get connected with what's happening at the Erie Downtown Development Corporation, and the CEO is Drew Whiting. Welcome, Drew. Appreciate it, man.
What's up, Joel?
Good to have you here. You're coming on the best day. You know, it's the best day ever. I feel like it's SpongeBob time, you know.
Yeah,
62 degrees and March 4th.
Yeah, it's not skirt day, but we're getting close.
Right.
We'll get into trouble for that one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we're turning the corner here just in time for another big St. Patrick's Day parade,
Right.
and we're having meetings regularly right now with people all over the city itself, trying to make sure that logistically we're ready for a lot of events and live music and programming for the summer. So it's that time of year. It's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're planning now for the big run here.
It's also construction season.
Exactly.
In downtown Erie, and we're no exception there. So we've got a lot going on.
Wow. All right. Well, why don't we start with some of the announcements since you were last here, which I think was in November, and that is the announcement of Dave's Diner. Coming up. The sign is there at 5th and Peach. Talk about that development.
So we've got a bunch of equipment in the space already. We are getting to the final parts of permitting approvals so that we can get construction in earnest rolling. We expect that'll be like a May timeframe.
Okay.
Really excited to have a diner downtown again, and I grew up going to diners every Sunday morning. Going to diners in Erie was how I got to know this town, and including Dominic's downtown. But to have one right here in our district, and for it to be an old mainstay that everybody loved and looks forward to having come back is really exciting. And another local business opening up across the street in Country Fair.
Yes.
Right now we're targeting April 1st, and I think that date should hold. We're kind of getting to that point on the inside of the space where equipment's being installed and signage details and things are going up and countertops are being installed. So really looking forward to having Dave's and Country Fair this spring, and I think it'll be a great thing for that part of downtown to have a place to stop and grab something quick, and a place to have breakfast meetings, grab breakfast on the weekends. It'll be nice.
Let's get an idea for the scope and the size
Sure.
of these spaces. Again, a lot of us remember Dave's here on North Park Row. We're talking a pretty sizable seating area, right? I mean,
yeah. For those that know real estate, it's about 2,400 square feet. So he's going to have, I think, 60 or 70 seats in there.
Wow,
decent sized spot.
That's almost double, I think. It's got to be close.
It was before me.
I've
seen some pictures, but
right.
The aesthetic of the old place is going to carry through. It's going to have the same feel, and it's going to have Dave's spirit behind it.
Yes.
Which is the most important part. So Dave and his staff they're prepared to bring it, and we're working hand in hand with them as we get to that point.
Breakfast and lunch, basically.
Breakfast and lunch, yeah. I think they're going to be open like 5 a.m. to 2 or 3 in the afternoon, something like that. So yep, that'll be a great ad. The other part of that building that wraps around and goes up north on Peach, we're pretty close with 2 new concepts there, both licensed bar type of concepts. Not ready to quite talk about what those will be yet, but if you think about Gannon being on the one end and the downtown on the other, we've got a couple of really cool opportunities there for people that'll serve that student community and the downtown community as well. Very closely located to the entrance of our parking garage, where you can walk straight from the garage into all of those restaurants in that building without even going outside. So that's going to be a nice thing during the winters as well. By the time summer rolls around, Dave's will be open, and those 2 spaces will be under construction, and hopefully have those open by the time it gets cold out again in the rest of that building.
Talk about now Country Fair, because remember, they're replacing the Co-op and Gordon's.
Sure.
Are they taking all of that space up?
Yeah, so it's about 8,000 feet of space.
Whoa.
It's the largest country fair. They're calling it their innovation center.
Yeah.
So the flagship store will be their largest one by a good margin. They're going to be carrying fresh produce and fresh meat that is unlike any of their other stores. Their freezer section is going to be about twice the size of the normal store. Same with their beer cave and their wine selection. A lot of local forward selections when it comes to breads and the desserts and those types of things. And they've got a full kitchen for the ready-made things that everybody's used to in a country fair, the convenience, the tobacco, the beer, all of that. The other new aspect of this is kind of a student/visitor lounge that accompanies a nice like Starbucks style barista counter, which will add a nice little cafe for the Gannon students that want to hang out and work there, or anybody else that's just looking to take a break in the middle of the day and have some lunch or grab a coffee at some point. So there's a really nice amenity that right now there's not too many convenience options in walking distance of, the 108 apartments we have here, all of those at Modern Tool.
Right.
We have another, almost 200 opening in the Avalon, which is now Good Homes starting in about May. So it's a lot of new residents. In addition to the new residents, we have a lot of new employees and the students. There's a lot of positives for them when it comes to walkability and amenities that haven't existed down here in quite a while.
Be 2 entrances, right? One from North Park Road, one from
Fifth. Correct.
Yeah.
There's going to be a little bit more construction going on in that area as well. So in a couple weeks, we're going to be breaking ground on what we're calling the Flagship Commons, which is a building that'll span the gap where the bus station, Coconut Joe's, once sat. It's going to have a rooftop entertainment space, 2 restaurant spaces on the ground floor, one facing Fifth, one facing North Park Row, and then some retail spaces, and a wide open corridor that passes between Perry Square and Fifth Street, where the parking garage entrance is. And we're going to be bringing about 25,000 square feet of office space. And we're talking to a couple potential tenants for that right now. That space, you'd bring 100 employees with, the types of jobs that will continue to add to our downtown economy as well. So we're going to start drilling into the bedrock to work on the foundation for that in the next few weeks.
How high? How tall?
It's going to be 3 stories.
Yeah.
So it'll match the rooftops of the adjacent buildings.
And my understanding is that the vibe is like going back to the old Park Opera House, right? I mean, you're trying to kind of fit it into what was there.
It's going to fit into those historic buildings that we've already renovated, but it's also going to carry the feeling of these outdoor arcade malls that exist in other cities like, Nashville and Louisville and Cleveland. And the north-south bisecting line of that's going to be a 24-foot wide pathway that goes straight from Perry Square to Fifth Street. That'll be a public walkway that's undercover, still heated. And then inside that area, you'll have restaurants and shops opening up with kind of patio sidewalk seating throughout. So we're really looking forward to pulling that space together with this Keystone project. And I think it'll be something for all of us to be really proud of.
And that would be like a 2026 completion.
Late 2026 is right now the construction schedule. And, if you know construction,
yes,
I might be back here in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months telling you early 27, but we'll see. I think we've got a pretty good handle on where things are there. And, looking forward to that and, plenty of other things. See Hoover outside.
Yeah, Hoover likes to check in, make sure we're not being disobedient around here.
The face of the district.
He is. He is. We're talking about Ryan Hoover, the experience director here for the EDDC. It is remarkable to think. It was told to us that come this last fall, this spring, we're not going to recognize Fifth Street. And it's already happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing the transformation. And anybody that hasn't been down here, they come to my studio and like, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff. They remember the old McDonald's. They remember how kind of rough it was around here. This is an amazing turnaround.
Yeah, I think that this kind of a turnaround takes a lot of vision. It takes patience, and it takes a community rallying around that change. And that's, we're really in that patience and change piece right now. And I think I'm constantly reminding our board and stakeholders and our team, look, we're 7 years into a generational effort, maybe a multi-generational effort. We're trying to turn the tide on 40, 50 years of decline here. And the 3 blocks that we use as, the catalyst to prompt some more revitalization throughout the city and further economic development region-wide is a good start, but we have a lot of work left to do. And, we're at the very beginning here.
How important is it for a major corporation like Country Fair, or for a passionate restaurateur like Dave, to really catch the vision, and again to know that they have a great partner in the EDDC and you, Drew?
Yeah, it's all about signaling, whether that's intentional or not. I think you saw Erie Insurance and Gannon and UPMC and many of our other banking and educational and private sector partners step up and say, you know what, this is something worth doing, and we're going to put our resources into making sure that we get this thing started. And that signal is one to everybody else that, like, hey, if they're doing it, we should be part of this. It would benefit us to be part of this, even if we're not doing it for some community good. Now, you take a Country Fair, which is a community institution here. And yeah, like I keep hearing, they're owned by some big conglomerate. They're owned by a company based in Warren, PA.
Yeah. Right.
So Country Fair is extremely local forward. Like from the first meeting I had with them, it's all I heard was, hey, we're this Erie company and we don't even, this is the middle of our city. We want to be here. We don't have a store here right now. This is where we should be. Wow. And not only that, it was, we're willing to try something different to make this work. And then it evolved to, you know what? This could be a model for something that we could do in other places, because we're seeing how these types of stores have been successful elsewhere as we've done our research. We're watching the growth of this district in the 14 months that I've been speaking with them. There's been a lot of growth and there's been a lot of things happening that they're paying attention to. So for them to want to be down here is another good signal. For Dave to be moving back in. And then outside of our footprint, we've got developers from, central PA, from Los Angeles, New York City, that know what they're doing and don't make patient capital investments necessarily. They're in it for the money, and they're picking off major anchor buildings.
Right.
That's not an accident. Those are people that are watching what's happening here, and they're looking 5 years and 10 years down the road and saying, hey, this investment's going to pay off. And that's a signal to anybody else that's like them. If they're sitting in Chattanooga, Tennessee, or, Bozeman, Montana, and they're looking for their next project and they have some connection to Erie or some friend connected to Erie, come on in, take a look.
Yeah, they're saying, hey, I'm lucky I got in when I did.
They're looking at where all these 5-iron golf locations are in Philadelphia and DC and New York and Cincinnati, and like, well, they got one in Erie. I should probably look over there.
That's awesome. We're talking to Drew Whiting here. More with our friend from the EDDC in just a second. Drew Whiting is our guest here on the Joel Natale Show, live from the EDDC here at 5th and State. And Drew is the Chief Executive Officer of the Erie Downtown Development Corporation. Drew, let's talk residential here. I'm not going to say that it's easy, but it seemingly is one of the easiest places to rent apartments. Seems to be your apartments here at EDDC. I mean, what's the availability and like what are the vacancy rates? Because it's not much.
I think we have one apartment that's been open for 2 days, and we had like 3 tours through there this week already. So
this is out of almost 100.
We have 108.
108
apartments, yeah. And this is like top of the market rates for apartments, and we have a great staff that shows these apartments, manages leasing, manages maintenance on the back end. In new buildings, there's stuff you always have issues, but
right.
We're kind of getting through that period of if new things are going to break, we've found them, and we're through those growing pains. But yeah, I think the residential rentals in the downtown footprint here have far outpaced expectations from the early days when all of this was being put together. So we're really happy about all that. With the renovation of the Avalon, which doesn't look like much from the outside right now, but it has 30 new doctor's offices that are completely finished on the first floor inside. And the outside of that building, when it warms up enough to do it, will get its facelift. That's going to have 197 new apartments that are combination of market rate and about 2/3 of market rate subsidized here downtown on 10th and State. Modern Tool has undergone so far part of its renovation on a lot of the residential units and has added about 31 units of market rate apartments to downtown. And there's a few more coming. So, we went from like almost no market rate housing in the downtown of Erie only 3 years ago to by June of this year, there's going to be like 400 units. That's a huge change. And that changes the fabric of the neighborhood. That means that businesses can now survive with, a populace that can go attend concerts, that can go to the restaurant, buy things from the stores. That's how a community like this really reinvigorates itself. It's not just building new things, but it's creating the density around it as well. So,
can you remind folks why? What are the verbatims that you get from the potential tenant? Why do they want to be down here? Or why are they willing to pay market rate?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these people are coming from other places, which makes sense. They have their average age of 31 years old is about where we are. If you take out some of the outliers on either end, it's med students, it's people, and maybe after their second or third promotion in their jobs at law firms, banks, Erie Insurance, hospitals. A lot of remote workers as well, and then some students. But what you hear is, hey, like I moved to Erie, I took this job, wasn't really sure about it. I moved here with my girlfriend, or I moved here by myself and was really unsure. So, I looked around and there's like one place in the whole city where you can live, where you can walk to things. That's not in doesn't exist anywhere else. It's not in Mill Creek. You can make the argument for the adjacent neighborhoods, but right downtown, you're literally on top of a bunch of restaurants, the gym that you want to go to, if that's Ascend. You've got entertainment, amenities, bars, restaurants, shopping.
Yeah.
It's not where it's going to be 5 years from now, but it's in a decent enough place right now where 5 years ago, you would never have somebody like that living in downtown Erie.
Yeah.
Now we've got a lot of options and at different levels of rents. And I think that's a testament to being able to execute on the mission well enough so that others buy into it. And they're not doing it in a subsidized rate way.
No.
I mean, when I first started the job, 32 of our units were marked for senior living at half of market. And the reason that was contemplated in the first place is they were like, how else are we going to fill these units? At least we get some guaranteed rents out of it.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I did was cancel that agreement or at least stop the discussion about the agreement, because we had no problem filling these units. And to have a young, vibrant, crowd downtown really fueling the growth of everything else around it. That is what makes cities like Erie and downtowns run in the first place.
Let's sneak a quick phone call in here. Hi, caller. I've got like 20 seconds with Drew. Go ahead, real quick. Oh, okay.
Is that the Phantom Flusher?
That might have been the Phantom Flusher.
I think I know who I think I know who that guy is.
Oh my gosh, Drew! I guess they were looking out for you on that one. We are talking to Drew Whiting. Oh my gosh! As long as it's one of your nice Kohler toilets, you have it in the EDDC.
It didn't sound like it had industrial strength.
It didn't have it. We've got news at the bottom of the hour. Oh my gosh! The Phantom Flusher hits the Joel Natale show. Back in a bit. Talk Erie, the Joel Natale Show. We are live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State. We're having our update with the Erie Downtown Development Corporation. The CEO is Drew Whiting. He's with us here at our 429 State Street studios. I know that you know this, but we just love it being here. And I tell you, our guests all love it. It's like, this is the coolest space. You know, Jeremy from Federal Resources was like, I can't believe you're here. This is so cool. You know, when you impress a guy like that, that feels pretty good.
It's a cool neighborhood, and it's getting better every day. One of the things that we're actually working on right now is, you go to like most other mature downtowns and neighborhoods like this, you've got a really active kinetic energy and presence on the street that's contributed by both the people that are walking through the neighborhood and the businesses there. So we're working right now with BSI and the city on creating a nice sidewalk cafe opportunity for people outside of all of these places. So, you know, we want to make sure that each one of those things has a nice flower box on it, so it, you know, lights up the street a little bit and gives character to each one of these spaces. And you want to drive through here and think, that's a place I want to find a spot to park and go just see what's up. Mm-hmm. Like, it smells good. There's good food everywhere. There's places to shop. There's stuff to do. It's been really tough to pull that off in the midst of a construction zone, but we're getting to the point right now where we can start to program things and get this street in the shape that we want it to be. We have some obstacles coming up. I mentioned construction season. We spent some time in City Hall today. They're replacing the water main between 2nd and 5th Streets this summer. They're doing the streetscape between 2nd and 5th Streets this summer. So, luckily, they've been really cooperative and collaborative with us on making sure that we're not doing that during a St. Patrick's Day parade or Celebrate Erie, that we're also making sure that people can get to these businesses and make sure that the traffic is able to flow the way it needs to safely. So, you know, there's things like that are going to happen.
So we'll get some new poles, you think?
I think maybe.
The funky pole at 5th and State needs to go.
We're going to see some of those upgrades for sure.
So they started on the south side. Now they're working
north. So we have that going on.
Tell me about the food hall, because again,
sure.
It was just announced the end of February. You lost a couple of tenants there.
Yeah, so it's a start. I mean, last year was our best year in the food hall.
Was it?
Despite having quite a bit of turnover as we went in and evaluated things. And we've got a really solid base in there. We do have a couple tenants that just moved out. Triple D's had an opportunity to take over this historic restaurant up at Red Hot's at Parade and 13th.
Oh, yeah.
So he is moving up there here towards the end of the month. We're pumped for him. And then the couple that owns and operates Cheesery also is running Taco Cantina. They had an opportunity to open up 2 more Cheesery locations, one up at the old Donato space on 38th and one at the Mill Creek Mall. Decided to focus on that brand, so they let their stall in the food hall go. We have, I think, 6.
Are they staying with Cheesery?
Oh yeah, Cheesery staying down here, but they have 6. We have 6 applicants for the 2 stalls that we have open right now, and should have those filled very quickly here. Part of the goal of this place is to give people a shot. It's you're walking into a fully furnished, equipped place with janitorial staff, cleaning staff. And so the cost to get going is really what it costs to get some signage and menus printed, get your first order up to go, and some working capital for staffing for a few months, ideally. So we want to bring in a mix of businesses who have been around for a while and can provide that steadiness, which we have a few of those already.
Right. And
then we also want to bring in the people that are working out of food trucks or out of their kitchen that have great ideas and menu concepts and want to give something a try. So we're looking at that right now. We also have to find a good fit. Who's going to come in and not directly compete and have a fully overlapping menu with somebody next door.
Sure.
You can never eliminate all competition. Every food category has some overlap with another one, but we do the best we can in there, and I think the model itself is proving to be somewhat successful.
There seems to be a rhythm.
Yeah.
I would imagine when Gannon's in session, that's a good thing. Certainly, the summer has got to be tougher, I would think.
it's not, there's no like hard rules to follow.
Okay.
Like, celebrate Erie Week. August is like the biggest month of the year.
Okay,
But-
well, okay, that just blows up my
But
theory.
like, November, December, when people's families are in town visiting for the holidays, those are really
See, we
busy
love
times.
coming to the food hall during the holidays.
We have, in the summertime, the lunch traffic's better because you're not walking through like snow and cold to get there from work. And then in the wintertime, you see more of that traffic at night coming in for live music at night because there isn't live music on the Bayfront. And they're coming for karaoke on Tuesdays. And so really, it's even we're still figuring out what makes that place tick. And, as we fill in the other stuff around there, the empty spaces and the buildings and bring in the country fairs and the Dave Diners and the others, I think that traffic will continue to build and we'll see, continued growth. And ideally that model continues to serve as this like incubator accelerator for those that want to try out a food service business. Like I'm willing to talk to somebody who's like, look, I'm really good at making BLTs and that's all I want to serve to somebody with 60 items on their menu. Like we can, there's a space for almost anybody that wants to try something. And that may not be the only place to be able to try that. So in this new building that we're putting up, we'll have some opportunity for those things, not just food service, but retail as well. So
The thing to remember is that the Gap building, the Commons, will have additional seating opportunities, right? Because that sometimes gets jammed up a bit. You know?
And it'll connect, the food hall and the grocery store, and there'll be a ton of seating in that Commons area, right? So, I think tying that space together is critical. There was this idea that maybe we could wait on this and kind of see how things progress, but I don't know that you're ever going to see the potential and truly get to a stabilization point without having that done. And so that's where we're headed. And I'm optimistic about where we are. We have some really cool new tenants coming in the next 6 months, and some of which I can't talk about, but are probably going to be the things that people get the most excited about of anything that we've done in the 7 years we've been doing this. So we've got some fun coming. Hazards that just opened up.
Yeah,
here.
Tell us about it. How's it going?
It's they did 2,000 rounds of putt-putt in that place in January. Are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh.
We had the bar stool open this weekend, and all of these bars and restaurants that participated downtown had hundreds of people coming throughout the day. And yeah, it's kind of a silly event, but look, I mean, that's a community coming out because it's something to do, and it's camaraderie, and you're introducing people to new spaces. That
9:30 in the morning, I'm driving down State Street, and there's like all of these crowds. I'm like, what the heck is going on? It's not St. Patrick's Day.
Downtown Dave, Hoover, Jordan Fuller, and I had our hazmat suits on, making sure we were, staying out of trouble all day. But yeah, there was, there's a lot of positive vibes coming. The St. Patrick's Day parade's coming up. And last year, if anybody was down here for that was like the coolest day in Erie that I've experienced. And a lot of people said the same thing. Looks like we might have 50-degree weather.
Wow.
We got a lot more floats this year because last year's parade was kind of tossed together in the few weeks beforehand. This year we've got a lot of people geared up for it. So I think come on down for St. Patrick's Day. There's going to be a lot of live music everywhere. We'll have some announcements coming out on social media and our website. The Erie Downtown Partnership is putting on the event. They're going to have their roster of events going on too. So I think it's a really fun time to be down here building and being part of the change. It's, it's not the easiest. There's some really tough days, but ultimately the payoff is there. It comes around once in a while, and long term, I think it's going to be an awesome experience to be down here.
When I think about the people that are part of the Erie Equity Fund, your board of directors. They're not just looking 18 months, 36 months. They're looking 5-10 years in the future. Is there a phase two? Is there, an idea of additional purchases, and how does the CRIZ impact maybe new investments by the EDDC?
So our stakeholders and board really are embodiment of private sector leadership and vision that you see in other places, and that's what it takes to get things going, because the government can't move fast enough to make this kind of thing work. But you do get to a point where the flywheel starts to catch. And that's why you see out-of-town developers coming in and picking off anchor buildings, because they know that that investment's going to turn out well down the road. Mm-hmm. They're also visionaries, but they've seen this play out before.
Sure.
Our goal, we have two goals beyond just development and management of properties. One is to ensure that the businesses that move into our commercial spaces are set up for success and have the support necessary to get past that first 1, 2, 3 years, which are the most crucial in the development of a new business if they're going to survive beyond that point. That's not a cohort program. That's like ongoing in the trenches support with these people. We were lucky enough to be awarded a Shaping Tomorrow grant by the Erie Community Foundation to start to staff that type of small business support programming, which we're in the process of. Well, we'll be hiring for that soon. So keep your eyes out on Indeed if that's something you're interested in, because that's something we need to be able to do, and that's not just for businesses in our footprint, but for anybody downtown and anybody in the region that thinks that someday they might want to be downtown.
Yeah.
We're going to have the resources available to help navigate people to the right, most appropriate resource at the right time for their business. So that's a big piece. You can build all the pretty buildings you want, but if the businesses inside aren't sustainable, that's not going to last.
Right.
And continued density of the rest of that population needs to feed that. So there's a lot of buildings up and down State Street that remain underutilized or vacant. And it's a lot of upper floors. The problem is, if a lot of these buildings, you could probably buy the building for $300,000, but the elevator fix is going to be $250,000 for it to be habitable. So we've been working with the state and talking about other ways where we can potentially get some ADA waivers for some of those buildings so that you can actually create more housing for people. I know that's not a popular position in a lot of in some rooms, but the reality is it's a necessity, and the state can do something about that. They recognize it as a problem, and I think there are smart ways to implement that. It's been done elsewhere. The other problem is just that it is a reality that right now that appraisal gap we've talked about makes a lot of these deals hard to finance. Mm-hmm. So the CRIZ, which is going to be taking tax dollars that people in Erie pay to the state and allowing those tax dollars to stay here, they will be able, the CRIZ authority, which is 9 appointed members, will be able to direct those dollars into businesses, developments within a map that anybody can go and look at on the city's website. And the deployment of those funds will assist developers who may need that extra money for an elevator, that may need the extra dollars or even just a guarantee for the bank to underwrite a loan. That CRIZ authority can look ahead 5 years and 10 years, similar to the way our stakeholders have, and say, like, look, these are dollars that can be patient. They can come back to us in 5 or 10 years when the market catches up and these people can refinance out of these deals. That's one tool. There's so many others. There's bills going around Congress that Congressman Kelly has been instrumental in pushing outside of just the opportunity zone legislation, which many are familiar with. We're hoping for that extension here soon because that opportunity zone legislation expires at the end of next year. Right. But the Carrie Gomez Act is another one that will allow historic tax credits to be layered on low-income housing tax credit deals that will close the gap even further on historic buildings that probably need an 8-floor elevator times 4 elevator banks, need every window replaced, need to have a new HVAC system, updated electrical gear. Those are massive projects that without some tax credits or subsidies, we're going to watch those buildings crumble to the ground over the next 30 years because it makes no sense for anybody to touch it.
Right.
We're watching one of those projects happen at the EMI building right now. Like, how long did that building sit before somebody could finally do something about it? Down at the GAF site, the convention center.
Right.
It's a reality that to turn these places around that have gone through 50 years of managed or unmanaged decline, some intervention needs to take place. Some public funding and public economic development tools need to be present for that effort to succeed.
Sure.
Us getting that CRIZ through the work of Dan Laughlin and our stakeholders at Erie Insurance and Roger Richards and many others, with Matt Wachter now at the chair position doing his job to move it forward, is so critical. That's $15 million of potential money coming into the city. And $15 million doesn't seem like a lot if you're in, big time real estate development. But keep in mind, it was only that, all of the work that the EDDC has done so far would be like 3 years of CRIS money.
Yeah.
Leverage to $120 million worth of development.
Yeah, it is a seed. It is a base to be leveraged at 5X or
so, whatever. It's a massive deal that we get to keep our tax dollars here and put them to work in our community. And we get that $15 million every year. So every year we've got the opportunity to look at that map. And as we start to knock out projects and parcels on that map, it can move and take on the next part of the neighborhood or the next street over to start developing there. I think it's going to play a massive role in saving some of our key community assets, developing our bayfront, making sure that our downtown is strong, and then eventually, and probably not eventually, right away, going towards some of these solutions that help with our homelessness initiatives that will bring some more stability to land banks, a community land trust, and some of the others doing work in the neighborhoods on housing.
Yeah, it'll go out from just the central core. I want you to talk about this flywheel moving and the impact it is on non-EDDC ventures, and especially I want you to talk about 10th and State. Again, you put yourself out there. You did the 5-iron thing. We're knocking on the door of the Masters here. We're getting close to your 1-year anniversary. How's it going? What are your big learnings?
So it's going really well. We've had a hell of a winter. It's been a really solid few months of cold weather, which is really, I'm like one of the only people in Erie that will admittedly root for rain on a summer day. But no, we're happy with how things are going, but both of us, Chase and I, are both entrepreneurs that always think we can improve on things. Our 5-iron corporate, which allowed us to put this franchise location here, they can't believe how well we outpaced their projections for us in the first 8 months that we were open. So,
seriously, wow.
It's become what I thought it would be. It's an event space, a third space for people, a spot for after work, and it's giving some people something to do. Not just drink or eat. It's a unique thing to do that doesn't exist elsewhere. If it does, it's the closest one of those nearby. It's similar with Hazards, similar with Ascend. And so that, our ability to prove that you can do this in Erie, has people from Youngstown reaching out to us and Syracuse reaching out to us. And if you could do it there, come try it here.
Right.
And I also see others opening restaurants on the street that have done this before and are now like coming at it with a new attitude because they're seeing success elsewhere. Jeremy Young just moved downtown again.
Yeah.
Federal Resources is back on State Street. I mean, there is a momentum building that where, kind of activity begets more activity. The crowd draws the crowd, and success will draw more success. And we hope to continue to see that proceed down the road. And everything we're doing is kind of that has that built into it. So
I think it's key to know that it's about experiences.
Yeah.
And something that really occurred to me is that I've been at more events, family gatherings, and things at 5-iron. I have not swung one golf club.
Yeah, most people don't.
But it's just such a perfectly designed space for a decent-sized crowd to get together, whether it is after the Playhouse for a cast party or we had an engagement party there for the family.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the key to what a lot of other people are trying to do right now. They're looking at, like, if you look at Hazards, they're like, hey, we have our activity space, but we have this flexibility to do other things with big groups, small groups. And I, if we can serve as a guide to that, great. I think the next few years you're going to see more of it because there's, if you're able to show that can work, almost anything else that can come in and do something similar is going to work too. And we have some other spaces we're filling, and we're kind of following the same model on that too, because it is important. You got to have the flexibility. You got to provide something that's, a quality experience. The goal when we were designing this place was we want people to walk in and be like, this isn't Erie.
Right.
I don't want people to be saying that anymore 5 years from now. They should walk into every place and be like, this is in Erie. Like this is what everything here is now. We're probably not going to turn that corner for a while, but I'm very optimistic. I know some of these entrepreneurs that are putting plans in motion right now, and it's a pretty exciting time to know, how much fun we're all going to be able to have on the street in the next few years. I already have a hard time getting out of here to get home at night because there's every time I turn the corner, there's something else to do. But I got a baby coming in a few weeks. So
hey, congratulations. Well, when you come back, we'll have to hear about your new baby and some of the new babies that are going on around here. Drew Whiting.
Shoot me full of coffee and I'll be here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Drew.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. It is 5 in front of 5. I don't know about you, Shane, but every time we talk to Drew, and John before him, I just get so excited. Just get so excited about all of this. All this is going on. The opening of what did he say? Dave's. Probably around Memorial Day, and maybe within the month, by April 1st, we could have Country Fair up and running. So that's astounding.
Awesome. Yeah,
that is astounding. Again,
good stuff.
A lot of folks live down here that could use the services. And hazards. We're going to need to do a little Talk Erie golf tournament. What do you say?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. All right. We are going to pivot to our Tuesday Autofocus with Mike Paris, talking about an Acura today. Stay with us. It's Talk Erie.